Alright, the 1 week wait is finally over as we finally got the spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 260. And I gotta say, this one definitely lives up to the hype from the last episode. As usual, thanks to Myamura for providing us with the translations for the full summary spoilers every JJK week. Okay, I know the talks in the community these past few days are mainly about Choso's sacrifice to save his brother, but I feel like we will have Todo and Yuji moments in this episode. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the leaks. Before that, however, I noticed that most of you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. So, hit the subscribe button right now, as we are now moving on to discuss the spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 260. In the last episode, Sukuna burned the entire battlefield by opening his furnace and firing the flame arrow straight at Yuji. Seeing the destruction enables Uraume to declare that they will be the victors in this Jujutsu showdown. That statement proves to be convincing because one of the most loved characters in the series, Choso, turned into ashes after sacrificing himself to save his younger brother. Those moments became the hottest topic in the community this week, but one more revelation drops in the series as Todo finally returns with a plan in mind. And this time, he will help his brother and best friend to take down the King of Curses. And, oh wait, it seems that someone is executing his return to the series after who knows how many chapters. After all, it says right here that what Sukuna saw is the strongest ghost that he had buried with his own hands. Man, is that Gojo? Please tell me I'm right, because we will get on that part later as we will finally start right from the top. The chapter begins with Todo, revealing that his missing left arm is replaced with an instrument called Vibraslap. This equipment enables him to use Boogie Woogie more easily, while compensating for the handicaps given by his lost hand. In addition, the narrator also explains that Todo has changed Boogie Woogie's activation from clapping hands to the collision of the metal piece and wooden box of Vibraslap. What's more, Todo can now swap people a total of 50 times in a second. Undoubtedly, this instrument gives Todo a massive buff in terms of battle prowess, considering that it also makes up for the physical limitations of a human who can only clap a few times in such a short period. Definitely, we can witness the fruits of the changes and adjustments in this character since, in the following moments, Todo and Yuji's simultaneous attacks leave Sukuna clueless. The chapter also talks more about the change in the activation of Boogie Woogie, given that sorcerers can't just replace the method of their techniques freely. It turns out that Todo imposed a binding vow to limit the number of swaps in proportion to the collisions of the Vibraslap. Todo has successfully expanded the curse technique targets to multiple targets and increased the effective range of the technique. This is linked to Mei Mei and Todo's plan, which we will discuss for a minute, as this will answer some of your questions from the last chapter. I mentioned Mei Mei and Todo's plan because there is something I just want to point out. Shout out to at Beyond Words for commenting about Maki's case in the previous spoiler review. Borrowing his words, would Todo be able to swap Maki with Mei Mei's crows out of the domain, considering that Maki has no cursed energy? It is actually a really intriguing topic to discuss since Boogie Woogie can only work on living and non-living things with enough cursed energy. So, will that really work? My sacrifice in the past completed Maki's heavenly restrictions, which means that in theory, it would be impossible for Todo to use his technique on Maki and Toji alike. However, given that Chapter 259 hinted that Maki is included in Todo and Mei Mei's evacuation plan, and Todo declares that everyone else is most likely fine, there may be a valuable explanation for this, and that is the one that Gege has finally revealed. Unfortunately, I haven't come up with more profound theories regarding this. Still, I can suspect that Todo's high battle IQ somehow managed to think of a loophole to his innate technique, the binding vow that I mentioned earlier. After all, the narrator also reveals that Todo successfully evacuated the sorcerers from Sukuna's domain. Going back, Sukuna's inner thoughts admit that out of all the sorcerers, Todo is the most self-centered and difficult to sway. Apparently, he also appeared at the time Sukuna honestly least wanted him to show up. The battle continued as the leaks revealed that just when Todo was about to land a kick, Sukuna easily dodged it. Thanks to this, Todo makes a self-note, saying that Sukuna can dodge mid-air. Yuji then throws a rock towards them, and Todo swaps it with Yuji as he lands a strong missile kick into Sukuna. However, the King of Curses isn't someone who easily backs away in a fight. True, the damages done by Gojo, Yuji, and the others caused almost irreparable harm to Sukuna, such as his weakened reversed curse technique, a permanently damaged brain, and lost body parts, among others. However, Sukuna responds by grabbing hold of Yuji by his face and trying to thrash him. Even so, Todo keeps on swapping as Yuji continues to punch Sukuna from his blind spots. Todo, Yuji, and Sukuna are now in a state similar to roulette. Sukuna realizes that Todo can change the maximum and minimum values for the number of swaps per single tap. Therefore, Sukuna thinks it's practically impossible to get used to Boogie Woogie. Even so, Sukuna has figured out a way to read or predict when Todo might use his swapping ability. It's precisely when Yuji's focus has peaked. Sukuna thinks Todo might faint by not swapping Yuji, but instead, something else to trick opponents. So Sukuna moves to punch Yuji very hard. Basically, he shifts his focus and attention to his nephew, thinking that he is the weaker link at the current moment. It is also possible that Sukuna treats Yuji as both the success and failure factor in regard to the win rate of the battle between him and the two sorcerers. Man, this chapter really highlights Todo's combat prowess and how even the King of Curses considers Boogie Woogie a troublesome skill to deal with. Anyway, Sukuna thinks it is time for a counterattack, unaware that this is the moment where he knew he messed up. Suddenly, Mei's crow appears, helping Sukuna to realize his mistake, the blunder that he misread Todo's move. Sukuna thinks they swapped with Mei's crow, so he quickly tries to turn his body towards his blind spot and lands a kick. But funnily enough, Uncle Sukuna realizes that he got tricked once again. The truth is, Todo didn't swap their places at all. This allows Yuji to make the next move as he easily hits a black flash on Sukuna. Now, this officially makes Yuji's black flash count to 8 since he reappeared on the battlefield with Choso and Maki after Miguel and LaRue's turn in Chapter 255. Still, the GOAT who created the opportunity this time is definitely Todo, who said this afterward. I concealed an attack within a concealment, within another concealment, and within another concealment. Myamura even called this a 9999 IQ move by Todo, and we can definitely agree that this is just one out of 100 moments in which Todo showcases his high battle IQ. After landing a black flash, Yuji pierces his claw hand into Sukuna and continues to brutally tear him apart with a demonic face. Well, this is an opportunity for Yuji to direct his anger at his uncle after he completely cooked Choso into ashes. Man, Yuji doesn't even have the chance to grieve in the last chapter because Sukuna is after his life. Moreover, he still has the task of eliminating the King of Curses. Thankfully, Todo's return lights hope in Yuji's eyes and reignite his determination. So here we are, on the way to witnessing Sukuna's downfall. Even though Yuji's hand has pierced his chest, Sukuna tries to expand his domain once again. But Sukuna sees a mysterious silhouette. The narrator explains that Sukuna has witnessed him, the strongest ghost, the King of Curses, deleted by his own hands. The spoilers end here as we are left with a grand hype cliffhanger that will make us think. Pupi suspects that the next chapter will probably go down into one of two routes. First, Gojo is really resurrected, and second, Sukuna saw Gojo's ghost as if he was about to get exorcised. Personally, I prefer the first one and think that it is the most probable event that will occur in the upcoming episodes. But wow, if that is true, we can finally see more of Gojo's moments after such a long time. Most of all, the best proof we have as of now is the editor's note at the end of the chapter, emphasizing that those eyes are unmistakable. I think it's safe to say this now. Welcome back, Gojo Satoru. I'm curious though, Will Gojo be able to defeat Sukuna this time around? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will make sure to respond to any interesting comments or questions you have. Myamura confirmed that there is no break next week, so tune in for more updates and smash the like and subscribe button if you enjoy what you have just learned from the leaks. That's all for now. Thanks for sticking at the end of the video, and see you on the next review.